less of the human element and emotion, more analytics. What are we talking about? The Cubs, of course. Here we go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. The Athletic's Sahadev Sharma and Patrick Mooney reported on Monday that Cubs president of baseball operations Jed Hoyer is changing his approach to how the Cubs go about building teams. And the changes, at least in my estimation, are big for Hoyer and his front office. Sharma and Mooney report that, quote, more than ever, the Cubs will rely on data, video, and models for their evaluations of players, close quote. This includes many changes to scouting, including the pro scouting department being drastically reduced, with the Cubs planning to rarely scout major league players or players in triple and double A. Sam, skeptics could say that this type of approach is too one-sided, or even the approach most employed by small market teams as the Cubs move away from the human element and even deeper into the numbers. How you doing? Let's hear about that.
Don't make me laugh. Look, I mean, everybody knows where I stand on this, and where you stand on this. Look, I don't know how many times I've said this. I've said it on so many solo shows that I've done.
Including one notably 3 weeks ago that was really notable. That was winning greater than numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that premise.
I'm not anti-analytics. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not anti-analytics. I'm not anti-models. I'm not anti any of that. I just think that it shouldn't be an all or nothing thing. I think there's always a human element when it comes to the game of baseball, when it comes to the game of life, when it comes to the game of your occupation, your family, your friends. It's just, I don't like the idea of too much of anything. Too much of anything isn't good. I look at WRC plus. I look at exit velocity. I look at spin rate. I am not one of these guys that thinks that all of it is junk. I know that it has importance, but I just think that this team or this organization, and look, it's not just the Cubs. Many organizations are doing this. This is more of a frustration with baseball in general than just the Cubs. But when I watched this team last year, I did not think that analytics were a problem. I thought that lack of energy and urgency was a problem. I thought at times leadership was a problem. I thought lack of a guy that's better than everybody else on the field by a mile, where you don't need a model to project it, you could just tell by your own eyes, was a problem. I thought delivering when it mattered and changing your approach was a problem. And look, models can tell you that, but you know, it's just a little bit too much for me, Matt. And I'll go back and I don't have to say a lot on this because everyone knows, but like, I'll go back to the Red Sox doc where Jed Hoyer and Theo, when they talked about Kevin Millar and his personality and what he did for the clubhouse and his extroverted personality and how it balanced out introverted personalities and made it better in the clubhouse. There's no model for that. You learn about that by meeting somebody, by talking to somebody, by seeing how they interact with their teammates, and most importantly, seeing how their teammates respond to them. And I think it's just a little bit too much. And then you hit the nail on the head, as I do what I typically do on the show. Say I'm not going to say a lot and then keep talking. You hit the nail on the head when you said small market thing. It's like one of those things where it's like this is what the competitive advantage that teams have to do when they don't have a lot of money, and the Cubs aren't even that great at it to begin with. So it was just not a great start to my Monday morning, but this is where the game's headed.
So I have a claim just based on your monologue there.
Shouldn't have been that long. I apologize. Start the show over.
So I am a little discouraged right now because for as much as I want to continue to buy into what Jed Hoyer is selling, this has me struggling with the Cubs knowing what their problems are.
Yeah, great point.
I think you could make a claim that they still don't know what their problems are.
Yeah.
Of course you need this in baseball. You need analytics. You need your R&D department. Again, Sahadev and Mooney pointing out the Rays are one of the teams that have made the most strides there. However, they also utilize the human and emotional side to find, quote, hidden gems, is how they put it with the Rays in that story. I just feel like you need a multifaceted approach to making baseball decisions. And for as much as the Cubs might not be that far away, it didn't strike me as like, oh, well, you know what? They shouldn't scout at the major league level anymore.
Right.
You know, there was a part of the story that said, and Hoyer confirmed it, they didn't have an in-person look at either Nate Pearson or Isak Paredes before they acquired both of those brothers in July. I would not be boasting about that.
Yeah.
How is that a good thing? And the biggest thing in the story that made me upset was how much this dude, Carter Hawkins, has influenced this organization. He is one of the linchpins behind this, Sam.
I know that. I read.
Why is Jed Hoyer leaving that much of a voice to Hawkins?
Because it worked in Cleveland, and they don't have a lot of money. I mean, they don't have a lot of money in Cleveland. Look, this is one of those things. You know how I feel about this, Matt. It's like it better work. Like they better win games quick, because if they don't, it's just, you said it beautifully. It's like we all had such issues this season, and it was a really struggling season. It doesn't seem as bad now when I watch the football team play in the city, but it was a bad season. But like nobody came away from that season and was like, need more numbers, need more analytics.
Overhaul the scouting.
That's the problem. It's like, no, this team needs a little life. This team needs a little juice, and this team needs a little boom, some home run balls. And we shouldn't need to find these hidden gems for the home runs. I get it with the bullpen. The bullpen is where I am fully on board with the analytics when it comes to the bullpen. Find a guy and go, hey, I really like the movement on his cutter. If we get away with his curveball and add that slider, we could turn him into something. I'm all in on that. But when it comes to offensive guys, we're the Chicago Cubs, man. Go out and go get a guy that puts the ball, over the scoreboard. We don't need to go, hey, that one guy, according to this model, the Oakland A's had to do that, in the early 2000s because they had no money. Hey.
Right.
And like, it's great as Theo and Jed and you watch that doc and say, hey, they went out and guys that got on, they got guys that got on base, and the Bill Millers and the Kevin Millars and the Tridix. But you know who those guys were supporting? Manny Ramirez, and they got David Ortiz. Manny Ramirez, I know steroids, but take that out. It's like he's one of the greatest hitters ever. So like him,
no doubt,
him being there helped, and Pedro Martinez. So it's like
he's pretty good.
It's like you don't need models for those guys.
Well, you made a great point about Kevin Millard. Theo, at one point in the documentary, said, "Thank goodness for Kevin Millard." I don't think he said it like I just did.
Yeah, and it was, and yes, it was because he was a nice player, but it was more because of what he brought to the clubhouse and what models. And here's the one thing I will say, and I do still believe that Craig Counsell is a better manager than David Ross. But I do believe that David Ross was better at the human element of the juice in the clubhouse and the personality a little bit. So you already lack that with your manager, and so it's like and now it's just numbers. I don't know. Again, I don't think this is a big story. Like, I don't think it's a huge thing. I think the Cubs were already trending in that direction, and it just became a report. It's just, I think the timing of it, basically being the first real non-Bellinger offseason news drop, was just kind of like,
bad timing.
Yeah, like, hey, all right, great. Like, can we go get somebody that can hit 40 home runs? We haven't had a 40 home run hitter since Derek Lee, that was before significantly that I was in high school.
The Cubs haven't had a true slugger since Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, or Lee, if you want to say. I mean, what did he hit, 46 that year?
Right.
Brian hit 39 one year.
Right. Schwarber had a couple 30s.
Go get somebody where I just race to the TV because he might hit a ball, down a bike path or something.
Well, this is easier said than done, but the Cubs might be.
Is it?
Well, no, I'm saying they might be only about 3 guys away.
Right.
Number 4 hitter, starter for in between Steele and Imanaga, 8th or 9th inning guy. That's 3 guys.
I'd like to talk about Max Fried sooner rather than later.
Oh, you want to cross him out on the list or move him up?
Move him up. I think there's some. From what I've been reading, that's the one name that's popping up everywhere.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of their main targets.
Yeah, so maybe that gets done earlier than later.
Oh, that'd be huge for our program.
So no, look, in short, just for me, my reaction this morning when I read that about 8:30, 9 a.m. and on a gloomy Monday was just kind of
it's a bad take.
Whatever, just win whatever it takes, eliminate all the scouts and all the fun stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get the boasting about, we got these 2 players in July, including one that was a pretty big trade. We didn't see him play.
And you think they boasted, like you think they were like kind of bragging about that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, no, I'm not questioning it. It's you do a better job when you read those things and those sort of takeaways than I do. I just kind of read it and I just get really angry.
All right. Coming up next. So later in the show, the Cubs did make a few roster moves, but coming up next, Ian Happ, Gold Glove number 3, and it's number 3 in a row. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Hims. Guys, ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom? It's time to stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident, knowing you can get hard and stay hard whenever you're in the room. Hims is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. HIMS.com/locked on. The products mentioned are chewable compound products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety info. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Ian Happ won his 3rd straight Gold Glove Award on Sunday night. Happ had a great year in left field, making a single error, and finishing 1st in the NL in defensive runs saved. Happ was a second baseman growing up in college, even in the first part of his pro career. Then he made a detour to center field, but really found a home in left field, Sam, and he's really got a lot of hardware in his home now.
I expected this. I thought that, I think I even said on the show, if he won it the last 2 years, he had a better year this year.
Right. Definitely over last year.
Yeah. So, we could sit there and talk about the Dansby snub, if that's the case, the numbers wise. Does it make me a bad fan that I just don't when they disappointed me like they did this year, I just don't have the energy to fight for the individual awards publicly for them. I'm happy for Happ, but like I'm not sitting there like, oh man, Dansby got snubbed. It's like, hey man, you're getting 177 mil. You had a very average offensive campaign. You're a great defensive player. I would take you defensively over Tovar, but it is what it is. Like that is that okay that I do that?
Yeah, it's okay. Your
Ha-
prerogative,
Happ deserved it.
Yeah.
Look, Happ's turning out to have a very nice major league career. He's been an all-star. He's a 3-time now Gold Glover. Before it's all said and done, if he finishes his career here, which, TBD, he might finish in like the top 11, 10 in homers here.
Wow.
He's a nice player. He seems to kind of be the de facto leader on the team. I already saw an interview with him. He already texted Bellinger that he was happy he was back and things like that. I like Ian Happ, and congrats to him. And then I guess if we're going to do awards, the Cubs had one Silver Slugger nominee.
That's right. Yes,
best hitter at the position. Yeah. So that was Seiya. He won't win it, but he was nominated. At least I don't think so. I don't know if he was nominated DH outfield, but I would assume that there's, the Otanis, the Bet. Well, Betts actually didn't play that much, but whatever.
Then you mentioned Dansby Swanson did not win the Gold Glove at shortstop, but neither did the leader in DRS, which was Mason Wynn. Ezekiel Tovar won it.
Yeah, and I didn't watch a ton of Ezekiel Tovar, and I picked him up in fantasy for a couple weeks for Coors Field, but
I do have a little bit of trivia for you here.
Yeah, and I also just want to pull up, because I brought it up, I just want to pull up the Silver Slugger finalists. Just want to see who Seiya's going up against. I have it right in front of me. Go ahead. I'm listening.
All right, so Happ's third straight win puts him in great company of other Cubs who won 3 straight Gold Gloves. Who are the 4 players who have also done this?
Suzuki could actually win this.
Really?
Churio, Teoscar, Jackson Merrill, Profar, and Seiya.
Okay.
And that's did they pick 3 of those, or did they just pick one of them?
Yeah, 3.
Oh, well, he could easily. I mean, he had a better overall year offensively than Churio did.
Yeah.
Profar was great. He might win. Boy, no offense, what a weak season for these guys. Okay. Sorry, you said 4 Cubs that have won 3 straight Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, with all due respect, I'm really bad with the Gold Glove trivia.
Well, I'm just saying it's in the news.
Kessinger on there?
No.
Oh, because he had done 2.
There's 3 infielders, 1 pitcher.
Rizzo.
Yep.
Greg Maddux.
Yep.
Go Cubs.
You said how many infielders and 1 pitcher?
Yeah, 3 infielders, 1 pitcher.
Oh, so no outfielders besides for Happ.
No.
Sandberg. Oh,
yes.
Ron Santo?
No, Ryan Sandberg.
Oh, Sandberg. Okay. Oh, I know Sandberg, and so I'm missing 1.
1 pitcher, yeah.
And you already got me down for Maddux?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't hear that.
I said Greg Maddux.
I apologize.
So it's Maddux, Rizzo, Sandberg,
and 1 more infielder. I'm sorry.
So that's what I was missing. Okay,
yeah.
I knew I was missing 1 more infielder. All right, hang on. Yeah. I'm doing better than I thought.
Yep.
1 more infielder. It's not Kessinger over there at short.
Right. I can give you a position or a handedness.
Why don't you just let me be for a moment?
Yeah.
Mark Grace?
That's correct. Nice job.
Hey, you know what? Forget what I said. I'm good with that stuff. I got all of them.
Yeah, you did.
I only misguessed Kessinger. I wonder if you didn't tell me the infield situation, if I would have guessed an outfielder off the top of my head. I don't think so.
Okay, I was going to say, who would it have been?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's move on.
All right. Coming up next, the Cubs did reinstate all their players from the 60-day IL. In the process, they did cut some guys. Find out who that is next.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So to get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Matt.
Yes.
I'd like to propose something to you, and you could say no off the air. You could think about it. You can mull it over. In solidarity, the Bears have opened up on FanDuel 6.5-point favorites on Sunday.
What?
I would like to record Sunday at noon. I would like to record at kickoff for our Monday show. I know we're not supposed to talk production there.
Eliminate the first quarter.
Yeah, during the Bear game, and just in solidarity, letting you and I and our listeners know that we don't want to watch that product anymore. Okay. Right. So let me know on that. And you could just visit FanDuel.com to join today. It's America's #1 sports book.
Oh man, the Bears. I think it's over. It's over on the lakefront, and I feel like Eberflus might know it. Or does Poles dare keep him? We'll see.
Well, full. That's good. If Poles keeps him after this for next year, I am moving, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't even make up a threat.
The Cubs reinstated all their players from the 60-day IL on Monday. And in the process, 4 players cleared waivers and are now free agents: Yency Almonte, Christian Bethancourt, Colton Brewer, and Enoli Paredes. The Cubs also DFA'd Jimmy Herget to make room for Rob Destrisny, who was claimed off waivers from the Brewers. The next big date is later this month on the 19th, when 40-man roster has to be set for the Rule 5 draft, even though the Rule 5 draft isn't until December. And then that other big day is just a few days after that, on November 22nd, when teams have to tender contracts to players under team control, including those who are arbitration eligible. Sam, with these moves today, the Cubs payroll space to that first luxury tax threshold is now up to about $48 million.
Beautiful news. Hopefully they can get some better. I'm so shocked at this Silver Slugger list in the outfield. Wow. I mean, you know what? The only thing now that when I look at this that probably is going to penalize Suzuki is just that he missed a month.
Yeah.
That's
a major absence.
I'm gonna do some homework on this. I'm curious if he's got a shot now at this.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard what you said.
I hope so.
All the great stuff, awesome stuff. I don't, you know what I mean?
For Wednesday, we have a big Tom Ricketts episode planned.
And I'm ready for it.
There's going to be a lot of angles to cover here. The financial side, of course, also is Ricketts limited Jed Hoyer's own abilities to make the next great Cubs team. So we'll talk about that and more. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. Are you still laughing about the Bears thing?
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. So, well, they didn't interview 2 Hall of Fame coaches.
No.
They didn't interview Vrabel. They didn't interview Ben Johnson.
How about call Peyton Manning and have him run the offense? Give him. Have you listened? Do you listen to him every week? The guy's a genius, and we sit there.
All right, we'll be back on Wednesday with our Ricketts episode. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
It's a bad take.